largely induced by religious intolerance. But as rightly pointed out that historically, this has not always been the case. South Asia, as we all know, is a birthplace of great many religious traditions that have profoundly shaped the way millions and billions of people live today. These different religious traditions have profoundly shaped their thought processes. And we have seen that in case of South Asia, followers of these various belief systems, they have coexisted peacefully and enjoyed the dividends of peaceful coexistence in form of material and spiritual prosperity. Today, we only know prosperity from a material angle, conveniently ignoring the spiritual side of prosperity. This is what is leading to frustration among the youth, and this is perhaps what South Asia can offer to the world: spiritual prosperity. This is what we as a region are known for thousands of years, and this is what has brought us unprecedented prosperity in human history. And if you look at the history of South Asia as a region, which is home to a number of civilization, including Indus Valley civilization, which was stretched across 1 million square kilometers, the prosperity that we witnessed, it is unparalleled even by the contemporary standards. And I think the major reason that we prospered historically was because we learned to coexist peacefully. But today, Kashif, religious pluralism and interfaith harmony in South Asia, like I said, is under tremendous threat. And the single most threat to faith and interfaith harmony arise from faith-based extremism and violence. So if there is a single most alarming threat to faiths and interfaith harmony, it is from the faith-based extremism and violence that we see is rising in South Asian context for last 2 decades, to be precise. So what we see in South Asia during last 2 decades, that there is a rise of religious ultranationalism and religious extremism. And these two factors, they have converted South Asia into the world's most hostile region for pluralism and interfaith harmony. One side, we see the rise of religious and ultra-nationalists, especially in case of India, which was once known as the beacon of hope for peaceful coexistence. Today, if we look at the Indian political environment, religious nationalists or ultra-nationalists, they see their states as inextricably intertwined with dominant religion of that great country. And for religious extremists, especially in Pakistan, because we in Pakistan are fighting these religious extremists for the last 2 decades, for them, nation states are meaningless. They wish to undo the nation states, no matter created in the name of Islam, to achieve exclusive dominance of one particular religion. So traditionally, if you look at these religious ultranational and religious extremists, regions of South Asian political environment, but recently they have moved from periphery to the mainstream, acquiring more political and social power, thus adversely affecting states' policies vis-a-vis religious minorities. And this is a cross-South Asian trend. I'm not referring to one particular country in the region. A last year study conducted by Pew Research Center, it documented that out of 7 countries in the region, 6 enforce high or very high government restrictions on religion, and the lone exception, which was Sri Lanka, that is also moving into that direction. So I think that is quite an alarming trend from the perspective of South Asia. So now the moot question arises whether this rise of religious ultranationalism is reversible or it's a constant like COVID-19 that we have to live with it. Well, if you look at the history of South Asia or any part of the world, it tells us that nothing is constant. But to change the status quo, new mode of thinking must evolve and must emerge. And these mode of thinking, they continue to sprout in the most hostile times. But what it takes is a consistent and selfless efforts of few good men and women to challenge orthodoxy. And I believe that youth is the most important, has the most important role to play in reclaiming a pluralist and peaceful South Asia. It is not that we have to reinvent the wheel. We in South Asia have a rich intellectual source from which we can draw and extract to basically build a peaceful and tolerant South Asia.
Sir,
We need to basically harness. Ji, Kasha.
Sir, I have a question rises here. How youth can prioritize their interventions for sustainable South Asian and specifically in perspective of peace and harmony? How youth can prioritize their interventions?
Well, I think firstly, there's a need to create platforms such as the one created by Center for Peace and Social Studies. I think technology and social media can be instrumentalized as a source of unity rather than division. And whether youth, how do we basically get the intellectual resource, as I've mentioned, that we have to look back at the history of South Asia. It is not that Western models of or Western liberal model of interfaith harmony, they have certainly produced a lot of goodwill among different religions. But in case of South Asia, I think folk wisdoms and religious traditions will come more handy for the youth to build a peaceful South Asia. For instance, if you look at the teachings and preachings of different saints from South Asia, including Sant Kabir, Baba Bulle Shah, there are so many in Bangladesh as well. Their teachings and preachings basically served to unite people from different religions of the world. Even today, if you go to the shrines of these Sufi saints, especially in India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, they attract people from various religious traditions. So this is one source of inspiration that we can use. And I would like to cite just one verse from Baba Bulle Shah, who was a Punjabi saint from undivided India at that time. He used to say that tear down the mosque and the temple, break everything in sight, but do not break a person's heart. It is there that God resides. This is the crux of the teachings of the holy Sufi saints, whether they're coming from Afghanistan or the Pashtun belt of Pakistan, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal. So this is what we need to invoke to fight the religious fundamentalism in South.
Sir, we are truly grateful for your kind input, and specifically not only input, but we can rather say that is just specifically the guideline from where we can start. We have audience, our panelists from all the South Asia, ranging from Afghanistan, India, Nepal, Philippines, Bangladesh, and all the relevant countries. So it will be great honor if you can stay for a few more minutes with us, so you can listen our youngsters and give your feedback.
Sure, Kashif, I'm keen to learn from the experience and these young South Asian voices.
Inshallah, sir. Inshallah. Thank you, sir. So nice of you. Noah, I would like to request Mr. Kesser. Brother, can you hear me? So what's your intake on peace and harmony, and how do you see the role of youth they can play for the peace and sustainability in the South Asia?
Brother Wasim, thanks for providing me such a great opportunity to interact with the people from, especially the youth from South Asian nations. I would like to just start my point by saying this thing. In present world, faith is seen as a cause of turmoil and exclusion. It is the basic thing from where the problem arises. That at first everybody is strict to his faith, but he is witnessing or he is treating the other person's faith as a turmoil for his society as well as for his own self-development. So I think that as a youth, we should give respect to our faith as well as if we can't accept anybody's or we can say any other stakeholders' faith, but we should respect him. Once we will respect others' faith, then the things will, I can say, come on table, or things will be mature to go beyond the borders and to go beyond the ideas for the promotion of positivity. But once you will take faith is in turmoil, I think that that is the main point from where the differences arise. So we can say that yet faith can be a changing point in the present political arena of world, where people are engaged in bullet games with each other. Because as Asif Bhai in the initiation of the program said that South Asia has a different geography, and we have a different diversified nationalities here, diversified cultures here. So to respect and to recognize these diversities is essential for the development. What we can do as a youth is that we have to be the torch bearers for the other people to promote, to accept, to respect these ideologies, to respect these diversities, and to lighten up these diversities in the areas where these are treated as turmoil, or where these are treated as exclusion. Once we will try to get engaged, once we will try to get promoted these diversities, these different faiths, then I can think as a youth we are playing our part. Interfaith harmony begins with talking. Once we will start talking, the things will start work. So in this platform, International Youth Dialogue, we are talking, at present we are talking, we are discussing the issues. So we can say that interfaith harmony has started from our side, and inshallah, it will lead the lives of other people as well. Religious leaders, scholars, chosen or elected representatives, whosoever is in power, or the former elected representatives, they should come forward and they should lead their people with the positivity of ideologies and with the positivity of faith. And the main point in it is that they should teach their followers the level of tolerance to tolerate the other faiths. If we can talk about the India, India is a secular country, and Gandhiji has said that India lives in villages. When we go deep into the Indian villages, we will find in a simple village, in a small village, there would be different kinds of communities, different types of communities, different types of castes. So how India is still diversified and united. The secular thought is saying that these people are accepting everybody's faith. These people are accepting and respecting each other's religion, each other's, we can say, diversity. Then they are united. But if we will see the situation in Indian subcontinent from last 5 or 6 years, the tolerance level has become, we can say that it is come up to zero. And the thing has created so many issues in the society, which means it is a directly attack on the interfaith harmony, while some miscreants are not of the view that we should promote interfaith harmony. So as the youth, we should work on these things, how we can eliminate the ill-radicalized minds who are promoting faith as a turmoil. Thank you.
Thank you, Kesari, for your kind input, and we will definitely get your insight on the current developments happening in Srinagar. So, as you are from other side of Kashmir, so specifically the perspective and interfaith harmony happening over there, your kind input will be taken,
Yes.
inshallah. Now, I would like to request my brother Talibur Islam Rupam, a very kind fellow from Bangladesh. Brother, would you like to enlighten us what is the current status of interfaith harmony in Bangladesh?
Well, thank you, Kasif Bhai, for having me with this, enlightening discussion. So yeah, like I'm just listening, to our previous speakers of what the situation. So starting with Bangladesh. So see, the situation in Bangladesh about interfaith, we are like always we not only we but the entire South Asia region is always known for the you know a harmony that which allow every kind of faith to live together. So it's also applicable for Bangladesh. So Bangladesh is a Muslim majority country where like 90% people are Muslim and 10% are from other religion. But we are always trying to keep the practice that our ancestors taught us to live together and respect each other's faith. So even in Bangladesh, when we have Eid ul Fitr, and on the other hand, there is puja from a Hindu religion or some other festival from Buddhist religion, we always try to celebrate together and with more respect. And but now as you described in the beginning, that nowadays the situation is becoming worse in the region because of lots of things. It's about the policies, about the strategies that our that our peers of the South Asia takes and make them benefit. So that's how. And but on the other hand, we are probably fortunate that the influence of other religious turmoil in other countries does not ignite our community that strongly, because what happened if there is something in happening in other country, like something really exhausted and violence, it's always impact on the other countries in terms of faith, because interfaith itself is a very sensitive issue, and it's not visible. It's always remain in the heart of the people. So what happened, so these people always think that on the other countries our brothers and sisters are tortured, so we should always we should all we should give back to them with a strong response. So this is how pluralism creates. So, but fortunately in Bangladesh, the situation is really good. We are really proud that our people always has the tendency to respect each other faith and all the things. So Bangladesh, that we have one of the oldest education institute of Buddhist religion that is created in 7th century. So this is the this is one of the proof that our region is always enriched with religious harmony, and we always live together. And on the other hand, there are Indus Valley in the entire South Asia region, like Harappa, Mohenjo-daro. So these are the things. But what happened, since this religious violence is happening very systematically, so for the benefits of a particular group. So I think since we are youth, we are quite smart and very open-minded in terms of accepting other faith and respecting other faith. I think we have to create the two elements among ourselves. So one is empathy and second one is respect. I think the empathy is missing nowadays among the people, so that's why they always tends to violent many things, and also they are easily manipulated. So I think if we like young organization or just or research institution like like Center of Peace and Social Justice, we can work together and enlighten our youth, enlighten our generation, because these youth can be youth can be powerful. On the other hand, youth can be manipulated easily because
Yes.
of yeah.
Yeah, I have another question, and I need a very brief intervention from your side on that. Specifically, there are certain immigrants from other countries as well in Bangladesh, specifically from Burma and other countries. So, what is the level of public harmony. I am not talking about here the religious harmony. I am talking about the social acceptability of those immigrants who are coming from other countries to Bangladesh. What's the level of acceptability between the peoples to specifically for those immigrants?
Thank you so much, brother, to raising such a very important issues that is required for not only this region, for the world. So we have Rohingya, which are the exiled people from the Myanmar. So we have taken 1.7 million people in last 2 years from Myanmar, like who are exiled by the Myanmar government. So, but initially we give them the shelter, and I think, and as you probably aware that Cox's Bazar, the the place that the Rohingya people are living, so that is the biggest refugee camp in the world. We all know that we are developing country, and Bangladesh is trying to grow, and our economics is not a superpower. So, but we still try to accommodate them when we try to manage the harmony. And in Bangladesh, we respect them, because I don't think there are any complaint from from the people who are exiled from Myanmar. So, but for this, we also strengthen our capability in this region, because otherwise uh, like like Myanmar trying to push the minorities, like Muslim people are known as the minorities, and they are they are sent to other countries, or for the death, because if Bangladesh did not accept them, probably there will be lots of massacre, or
Certainly,
genocide, which
certainly,
has
guys.
been already.
Yes, certainly, the government of Bangladesh and especially the people of Bangladesh did a great job when it comes to social acceptability of those people who are coming from the Myanmar, and specifically the South Asian nations truly regard that you guys handle that situation very brilliantly. Now I'll move to brother Sudesh. Sudesh, can you listen me? Please
Yeah, I
unmute.
can hear you,
Yeah,
Karthik sir.
I welcome you from Bhutan, and hopefully I would like to know what's the status of current status of harmony and specifically interfaith harmony between the dwellers of the Bhutan. Please enlighten our audience.
First of all, it was quite intriguing to hear Dr. Quran Iqbal, and he was talking in terms of South Asian context, and I would like to add to that. I think that in the case of South Asia, there are two things that's very important. First of all, it's prevalent that South Asia is very landlocked, and it separates us through territory, which is also an imagined concept. It's a constructed element that is in our mind. So it is not rigid lines that separate us. It's just a thought in our minds that separate us. But at another glance, it is also dynamic. That means we are so dynamic, and our origins are not so different. I mean, if you look into Pakistan and India, there are Hindus, there are Muslims, there are Sikhs, there are Punjabis, and they are in both countries. It's not so different. The only thing I would like to remind the people who are listening from around the world is that if there is a sense of hate in your blood, then it is as easy as breathing. So I think the main context here is that we should not have the feeling of hatred towards each other. We should always have love and kindness for each other. That is the main, approach that we should live in terms of. In the context of Bhutan, I think that in terms of tolerance between interfaith harmony, and in terms of religion, we have been quite tolerant, because we have different establishments from Buddhist monasteries, from Hindu temples, and if someone wants a place of worship, he can approach the government, and the person can have a place of worship. The government assigns a region for that. So I think it's quite well inclusive in those terms. So one thing I would like to address here is the role, the theme of this webinar itself. When you say When you say the role of youth, in what context can we contribute? In which form? Because as Dr. Already pointed out, there is a lot of hate that is being manipulated in the world, not only in South Asian context, but also through a very worldly discourse. Because migration and diaspora has made us in such a way that we are scattered throughout the world. We are not just in South Asia anymore. There are views coming from United States. There are views coming from Muslims who are in Australia. There are views coming from Sikhs who are in New York. So, there is diverse viewpoints. So when these viewpoints contradict with each other, that is where the conflicts happen. So I think it's very important that we build bridges and not boundaries. We should have more interfaith forums such as this. We should accept migration. We should accept diaspora as a positive change, because when we have different communities, we have diverse faiths, we have diverse ethnicities, and that encourages us to live side by side with a sense of harmony and shared value. We have a sense of love of God, and we have a sense of a love towards our neighbors. So I think there are a lot of things. We also need to, engage in terms of faith, in terms of indigenous people, in terms of addressing the people who cannot speak, the minorities. So, there is a lot of things that explain and that narrate to us in terms of the interdependence of humans with nature as well. So we have to be genuine custodians of our environment, the environment that we are living in. We have to take up that responsibility to be the link that gives positive change, not negative attitude. We have to have an adaptation towards tolerance, to forgive, to have empathy, to have that patience that you are in a position to give forgiveness, because forgiveness gives a future approach. And I think that, living in a multicultural society that is all inclusive of democracy, we need to avoid war at all costs. Because when we look at war, the main inflection of war is the idea that you come with. So whose war it is? Whom are you fighting for? What is the idea behind the war? And what are the repercussions? Because the repercussions of war is very bloody. One cannot imagine the pain and suffering that we inflict upon our neighbors after war and all conflict. So I think the ideology of hate is what needs to be avoided here. And even in terms of the youth, I think we are all educated here. So now the role of education, we should always take advantage of education in a positive way, in terms of a peaceful approach, always trying to spread kindness and empathy. So I think that is the way we should move forward, and not, looking in terms of divisions that are prevalent in our, mind.
Thank you, Sudesh. I'm totally grateful for your thought-provoking, specifically input. For instance, when you said war can be avoided, peace can be placed, and diversity can be our strength for the peace and prosperity of the South Asian nations. So now I would like to request Amna Noreen from Thailand. Amna Noreen, can you listen?
Yes.
So
Thank
Amna, I welcome on International Youth Dialogue, formally as we are from Thailand. Please enlighten our audience. What is the current status of peace and harmony in Thailand? And what's the specifically the role of political parties over there to place peace over there?
Thank you so much. I'm really glad to be here in this dialogue. Before I talk about the point, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Amina Noreen, and I am from Pakistan. Currently, I'm studying in Thailand as a senior student, social entrepreneurship and global studies. Thank you for your question again. Speaking of the current situation in Thailand about interfaith community. Since I'm a Muslim, I would talk about coming from a Muslim background. So there is 9% Muslim population, more than 9, roughly speaking, in Thailand. And when I see how they treat Muslims is very positive. there is a lot of community gathering. There is a lot of respect of your culture. I would like to share an example. For example, we have mosque in our university in all different faculties. My professors are very acknowledging and helpful in the way if I have to go and pray. So this is something that I see positive about Thailand in terms of culture cohesion and how they treat their other fellows. So that was my response in terms of interfaith harmony. Just to add an example, I'm right now in one of my friends' home who is from religiously speaking Thai and Buddhist. But now that I am here, she is taking care of all my food. That I eat halal food, so make sure that I'm having all the vegetables. And her mom is very supportive. So this is something that speaks a lot about harmony, acceptance of other people who are different than you, who have different beliefs, who come from different perspectives. So this was some example from my first-hand experience in terms of how the things work in the south of Thailand, where there are a lot of Muslim majority. They have communities, they have their own education system. A lot of students migrate from there to Bangkok to get education. They have special places, quota for education for girls. That's very positive. They also offer scholarships to Muslim students so that they get educated.
I believe these are all great examples.
Yeah, I believe these are all very great examples of interfaith harmony and cohesion in Thailand that I see. Thank you.
Certainly, Amna Noreen, you enlighten our audience with very perfect examples of harmony and the way they are respecting our religion. And certainly that is a very pertinent and attitude, and it depicts the harmony in the indigenous society over there. So now I would like to request Ahmed Raza Bilal Zai from Afghanistan. Ahmed, can you hear me? Ahmed Raza Bilal Zai from Afghanistan.
Hello.
Ahmed Riaz, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you. Good evening from Afghanistan. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you. Ahmed Raza, please introduce yourself so our audience can understand about your experience and your affiliations in Afghanistan.
This is Ahmad Riaz, and I come from Afghanistan, and I'm working as an international affairs officer for a private university entitled Kurdistan University, and I've been lecturer in some positions in different institutions, and still I'm working.
Yeah. Ahmed Riaz, how much you are satisfied with the current developments happening in Afghanistan, specifically when we talk about the peace dialogues happening over there? Do you think these peace dialogues will help us in getting peaceful South Asia?
In fact, the peace dialogues have been initiated in Afghanistan, and unfortunately, there are some obstacles, and the government is still trying to tackle these obstacles. And as youth wanting peace in Afghanistan very soon, Afghanistan government and Afghanistan people have been in war for years, and we have been suffering, and we're the people who are eagerly waiting to hear about a peaceful Afghanistan. So Afghanistan is on the verge of reaching to a peaceful conclusion with different groups being dominant here in Afghanistan. So we believe we will soon have a peaceful environment in Afghanistan, and it will soon happen. And there are a lot of struggles have been initiated.
Ahmed bhai, what's the level of public confidence on these dialogues? What's the level of public confidence? Yeah, our expectation, we can see.
Exactly. we are enough confident that these dialogues that have been initiated will work, and we will reach to a great conclusion in a favorable agreement. However, looking at the duration and the obstacles, sometimes we get pessimistic. Still, people are optimistic and people are looking for a peaceful Afghanistan, despite people have had a lot of sacrifices. Even almost every family have had one of their member lost in this war, and people are still waiting for peaceful country, for peaceful Afghanistan, and public confidence is so high, and public is always looking for a peaceful Afghanistan, even if there is more sacrifices needed.
Thank you, Ahmed Riaz, for your kind input and enlightening our audience on the current and contemporary developments happening at Afghanistan. And we are very optimistic, inshallah, with the passage of time, there will be peace and sustainability in the Afghanistan, and that peace and sustainability will ensure the peaceful South Asia. And when there will be peace, inshallah, South Asia will prosper in a better way. No, I would like to ask a question from Wasim. So let's move towards Juju Kaji from Nepal. Can you hear me, Juju, Mr. Juju? Mr. Juju from Nepal, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. How are you?
I am fine. What about you? Are you fine?
Yeah, I am also fine.
Would you like to briefly introduce yourself for our audience?
So I am, my name is Juju. I am an activist working for youth and children since 15 years. So it was glad to be part of this youth dialogues. So I was also meet a lot of people from South Asia in International Youth Conference in 2012 and something 17 about this. And so it was great. So I am working for the children mostly for better their education, health and their others need like entrepreneurs and all things. So that's my introduction.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
Mr. Juju. I have very question for very relevant question for you. We have seen recently there were some sort of tensions between Nepal and Indian government, and that simply created some sort of stress situation in South Asia. So what was the role of how public can play its role in undone the stress that happens due to some certain political dynamics?
Yeah, maybe that was there is also blockade before. Also, there is India. There is 6-month blockade, I think. Now there is an issue on map. So maybe Nepal government has introduced a new map of Nepal, which was Kalapani and Lipu Lake something. So that's the thing between from the issue. There is a conflict between Nepal and India, and there is like these things.
So what was the public sentiment at that time?
Public sentiment was there is no mutual dialogue. I think there is no mutual dialogue, but Nepal has introduced new map, and so everyone is happy.
So what's the current situation of what you say interfaith harmony in Nepal, specifically when we talk about
Nepal and India was currently Nepal and India was a friend since long, and we are also neighbor. Now currently there is like
I'm not talking
Nepal government. Nepal government has blocked the Indian news channels.
So, Mr. Juju, I am not talking about the governmental relationships or country relationships.
Yeah.
No, I am talking about the internal situation of Nepal. So, how do you see the harmony, interfaith harmony in Nepal?
There is now there is nothing wrong, but there is like some of the channel has been cut off by Nepal government. So maybe it was not bad harmony, but hopefully it will be nice each other soon.
Yeah,
but there is nothing wrong.
Yeah. I'll be back in second row to you. And now I would
Yeah.
like to ask question from Wasim Abbas. Can you hear me, Mr. Wasim? There is some connectivity issue. We have Salman Afridi from Pakistan. Welcome, Mr. Salman Afridi. Hello.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me here.
Salman Afridi, how do you rate the level of interfaith harmony in Pakistan?
Well, Kashif Sab, as far as like the case of Pakistan is concerned, I do see a lot of positivity and a lot of hope when it comes to interfaith harmony. The reasons for all these developments are, or the positivity or the hope that I'm talking about, is that Pakistan has gone through like almost 2 decades of like religious extremism and violence, and Pakistan has paid, and people of Pakistan had paid a very heavy price for this. The war on terror actually that Pakistan joined, and standing with America, that has resulted, and that has in fact I would say that has torn actually the social fabric of Pakistan, and Pakistan has paid the due price for it.
So in second row, I would like to, I have very simple question for all our panelists.
Yeah.
The question is, how our youth can play an optimistic role for placing the harmony in our countries?
So when it comes to youth, it's all about, like respecting the diversity, like interactions, and, like managing the diversity groups that can bring the people closer, that can, like increase the interaction. It is all about mass awareness. It is all about, bringing people closer so that they can know about one another. They can know about, the faith of one another, and they can, learn how the peaceful coexistence actually works. So it is all about pluralism. It is all about like inclusion. It is all about like respecting one another, and like peacefully live together. And people of Pakistan, especially the youth of Pakistan, I am very happy to say that they have this in them now. This is something that has been inculcated in them, and since there were some recent developments in Pakistan regarding an important issue, the youth was very positive. Youth was very positive and supportive to a certain community about building their own religious place for, praying. And now that issue has been almost resolved. So I would say that as far as youth of Pakistan is concerned, it is, I'm quite positive, and I'm quite hopeful about the youth of Pakistan.
Thank you, Mr. Salman, from your kind input. Now I have a similar question for all our participants. Now let's move towards Mr. Talibur Islam Rupam. Brother, how our youth of Bangladesh specifically can play their productive role in placing harmony among our different segments of the society?
Okay, that's an interesting question. So for us, like, and like youth has the potentiality, and in the South Asian region and also in Bangladesh, like 60%, like more than 50% population are youth. So that's why youth can play a very important role, and your youth are playing their role. So through different through different organizations of and promoting the interfaith and promoting the the harmony among the people. So we are we are working, even taking my own example. So I have founded a organization that's called Reimagining Society with my other team members. So my other teammates are from different countries like Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, Philippines, and India, and also like other countries. So see, this is how, like, and when we work or when we go to the conferences, we see like our ideas, our mindsets are very similar. The obstacle between among us is the systemic barrier that maybe provoke us, that maybe ignite us, that okay, we are different, but in practicality we are all same. Our mindset is same. You are sitting in Pakistan and you want to do something for for the favor of Pakistan and for the favor of youth and mankind. And similarly, we are doing the same in Bangladesh. So I think like if we create more platforms which can reach dialogue and also to create the respect which is lost nowadays, the respect and empathy, then I think it will be better. And on the other hand, we can work we can actively work for the uh, foreign policies or the public policies, so that our policymakers will take our recommendation, and how we feel and how we immerse ourselves with the youth of other countries. So this is already happening in Bangladesh, and I believe that this is happening also in other countries. So uh, the main problem is the bridge. So we need to create the bridge among ourselves. So, for example, we need to make the bridge between the Pakistan and Bangladesh, or India Pakistan, or India Bangladesh. So we have to create the unity, because I'm giving another example. In Asian countries, in Southeast Asian countries, they are really they are always remain always connected among themselves, though their countries is different, their culture is different, but you will see that the unity in Asian countries, both like for youth and other class of people, are really remarkable. So we can take their example for our betterment, and create a harmony, like from youth, like from non-state level to state level. I'm talking about state level in terms of policymaker, and non-state. So we are the part of non-state components, like the youth, or the other people, other common people. So and there is another thing about called public diplomacy. So whatever we are doing, like today we are organizing this youth dialogue, and we are talking, and we are expressing our ideas and thoughts. This is part of public diplomacy. So I think it's high time to it's high time to work on public diplomacy. Public diplomacy means to public to public, or government to public, so that we'll get to know that actual scenario, actual, because the one because a policy cannot represent the whole country, because how this thing happens. So I think the more we'll get to know each other, the more we can do things for each other. So and I've been to several conferences in many countries. So what I find that you know this dialogue can make things happen. So since COVID-19 is making problem uh, for reaching each like reaching ourselves, but I think this kind of platform, like international dialogue, so we can do it more frequently, maybe about other topics, maybe about economic policies, or foreign policies, or the youth policy. So we can keep working on it. So it's not about, so that's how we can develop our interfaith, and also and decrease the difference between ourselves in terms of belief and all other things, because these beliefs will always remain on the heart. This is really sensitive. So rather we'll talk about only about the interfaith or other harmony. We can work about different capacities.
Yeah.
For example, with yeah.
Yes, Talibur Rahman brother, I truly admire your thoughts, specifically when we talk about the public diplomacies and people-to-people contact. Certainly, there are certain stereotypes pertaining or consisting in our countries concerning our other nations, and they need to be addressed, and that they can better be addressed by public or youth by themselves. No, I would like to take input from Asif Khurshid. Asif Khurshid, would you like to give your input specifically when we talk about the role of youth for peace and interfaith harmony?
Sure, Kashif, thank you very much. Unfortunately, I could not hear the other speakers, because as I told you that I was busy, and I am busy in the hospital. So unfortunately, I could not listen the whole speakers. But I am sure that this was an amazing session, and we almost playing our part to for the pluralistic जो है pluralism and inclusive world, especially for South Asia. So we are playing our role, and especially youth can play a very important role, and they can play for a better South Asia, peaceful South Asia, and prosperous South Asia.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Kash.
Thank you, Asif Khurshid, for your kind input. Now, I would like to ask a very precise question to Brother Kasser. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
We have seen there are certain tension arising in the communities over here, especially when we talk about different ethnicities living in Kashmir and India. What's the current status of interfaith harmony, specifically in Kashmir? And we have seen historically our Kashmiri brothers very warmly welcomed pundits from all across, specifically India, and those who migrated from those who migrated from Srinagar due to some certain reasons, they are coming back, and we have seen Kashmiris are very warmly welcomed them. So, what's your intake on that certain phenomenon?
First of all, I would like to say that Kashmir and Kashmiris are known by their hospitality. Kashmir's hospitality is famous through all over the world. If a person is not known to anybody in Kashmir, he says hello and hi, please show way where I go. I can say that we are not just showing the way, we are taking the people to our homes, have a cup of tea together, and then give them a brief about Kashmir and how they can enjoy the Kashmir. So you talk about the Pandits. Kashmiri Pandits and the Kashmiri Muslims and other communities living in Kashmir, they are all one body, different bodies and one soul. So as we treat them, and they treat us. But unfortunately, during 1990s, there were some problems, political problems, and some restraints. There were some government policies which were against the Kashmiri Pandits, as well as there were other stakeholders as well who are responsible against the genocide of Kashmiri Pandits here. But at the present, I can say you one thing. During the past lockdown, one Kashmiri Pandit woman passed away. Her last rituals, her crematorium was done by the Kashmiri Muslim youth. You can see the interfaith harmony, you can see the tolerance level of religions, and you can see the brotherhood and other things in this case. There is another case, we are also some Sikh brothers here, Sikh communities in Kashmir. In South Kashmir, there is a area known as Tral. I can say that 5 to 10% of the population in that area is from the Sikh brothers. They live each other, they eat each other, they pray with each other, and even that recently during the lockdown, it was witnessed that a Sikh brother passed away. Nobody was in his home because during the winters, most of the Kashmiri people migrate to the hot zones of Delhi, Jammu, and other parts of the India. So his last rites were also done by the Kashmiri people. And the point is that Kashmiri women took also part in his last rites. So you can say how deep the Kashmiri society is in means of communal harmony, interfaith harmony, and other things. Let me talk about one more thing that is Kashmir is the land of Sufis. It is known as land of Sufis. And in addition, there are also so many Hindu shrines, Hindu temples, which are nowadays being renovated by the government, which is a good step to construct interfaith harmony on a good scale and a large scale. There are also some gurdwaras in Kashmir. There are also some Buddhist monasteries in Kashmir. So the thing is that in Srinagar, which is a little city, which is a small city, you can find within the radius of 10 kilometers Kashmir's largest mosque, Kashmir's largest Sikh Gurdwara, Kashmir's largest church, Kashmir's largest temple. And you can see all are echoing at their paces, at their voices, at their sounds at the same time. Nobody is hurt by anybody's sentiments, or nobody is hurt by anybody's activities. So you can say how tolerant, how peaceful Kashmir is in means of interfaith harmony. I'm not telling about that Kashmir is peaceful, but I am telling in means of in case of interfaith harmony. So as you raise a good question, in India, the situation is getting worse day by day. The tolerance level, the rigid religious society is getting, I can say, erupted. There are so many forces behind it. That effect from the other parts of India directly affects the situation in Kashmir. But whosoever gets involved in these things, who try to erupt, who tries to engulf the situation in means of, who tries to disturb the interfaith harmony in Kashmir, there are the watchdogs made by the local communities, masjid communities, temple communities, Sikh Gurdwara communities, who are just monitoring all these miscreants, all these situations arising at the time of conflict or the violent extremism. So they are monitoring each and everything. If they found anybody involved in such activities, he or she is called for a negotiation, and they are just getting counseled by their elders and by these communities, which is a good setup, I think, to keep the communal harmony at bay, or we can say communal harmony at a pace. So I can tell you one thing more. During recent lockdown, actually during the summers in Kashmir, most of the workers and laborers, even that you can say masons, carpenters, other people are from the other parts of India, who comes from the different parts of India and earns their livelihood in Kashmir during the summer season. Because in India it is very hot at that times, and in Kashmir, you know, यहाँ के सीजन की तो क्या बात करनी है, यहाँ का मौसम वगैरह, so that they are just enjoying their lives as well as they are saving themselves from the hot heat, and they are earning their livelihood. During last lockdown, in recent lockdown, and during the previous years, post 5 August move from Indian government, in which the Article 370 and 35A were removed, the uncertainty were prevailed in every corner of the Kashmir. And what happened? At least 1 to 2 lakh laborers, masons, and other persons from India, they got, we can say, caught in Kashmir. They got caged in Kashmir due to the restrictions announced from the government. What happened? What they have earned, either they have sent it to their parents or their families, to their respective states. Other, what they have left in their pocket is they just spent it in first 15 or 20 days of government lockdown, or we can say first 20 days of curfew, which was forcibly imposed by Indian government in Kashmir to tackle the situation or to tackle the sentiments of people against the abrogation of Article 370. The people who earned there, they lost all their pennies in their personal expenses, in shelter, in food. What happened? There was a good number of people who were from the other states of India, who lost their houses, who lost their shelters, rented rooms, because they don't have a single penny in their pockets. What the people of Kashmir from every corner, either that is a native Kashmiri, either that is a Gujar community people, either they are from the Bakarwal community, either they are from Shina community, either they are from Sikh or Hindu or Buddhist, Christian, everybody came in front and they arranged their local Baitul Mal, as we call in Islam, and we can say the charity organizations in other religions, and they just aggregated the single pennies from the people, and they just aggregated the food items from the people, and then according to a good discipline, the items were distributed in among the stranded people from the different states of India. In this example, you can see how interfaith is rising in Kashmir and how constant it is. We just provided home to different people who were stranded in Kashmir. As I have a live example, my friend adopted, or we can say he just allowed a family to live in at his home, in his house, at least for 5 months till their flight operations were resumed and the curfew was lifted, so that he feed them and provided every possible support. You can see the religious differences apart, the other things apart, but the communal harmony, the interfaith harmony, and the love we have for the humanity, that was at a constant pace. In this means you can see how beautiful Kashmir's interfaith harmony
Yeah,
is.
Kaisar, I truly admire the level of the way you described the great harmony present in Kashmir, and we are seeing that with the passage of time, that harmony is getting its more better place, and certainly I truly admire the way you described to our audience. And no, we are running short of time, so I would like to have a brief input from Sudesh. Sudesh, how do you see the role of public, specifically the youngsters, in inculcating the peace and interfaith harmony in our own societies? I'm not talking about the whole South Asia. Here I am talking about how we can inculcate peace and harmony in our own indigenous.
Well, I think I come from a country that has given happiness to the world, the concept of happiness and well-being to the world. So you might see that, we are already living in terms of a great, strong and positive interfaith harmony. We have around 74% population of Buddhism and 22% Hindus, 0.2 Muslim percentage of Muslims, and 0.5 percentage of Christians who are living side by side with each other. So I think that we as youth need to have a very functional approach towards this development, such as leaving politics and religion in the threshold and considering more important things that lies in our hands. And in those terms, I have also founded a community that is known as Reimagining Society, along with Talibul Bhai here, and it looks to aiming at integrating all level of well-being to the whole community and ecosystem as well. So I think that, in terms of what Rahi has also mentioned, is very important here. We need to take note of the fact that, the involvement of interfaith volunteers is very important in terms of crisis. For an example, in such times of COVID itself, for an example, during the Hurricane Sandy in US, many people came together and faced the crisis together. So even in Bhutan, there is an organization known as DESUP, and DESUPs are known as the guardians of peace. Regardless of caste, color, creed, or caste, they come together to fight in terms of COVID. These are organizations that come forward. So I think in terms of capitalizing in the power of interfaith, one main, this also brings in turn a sense of healing to the community. And there is a sense of respect towards peace. There's a sense of respect towards neighbor with such actions. So this also brings different faiths and different colors, ethnicities, working together for a common good, keeping all the differences aside. And even this forum, the forum provided by you, which brings interfaith awareness, I think this is great in terms of giving a certain push. In that sense, I would like to conclude by saying that we need to love and support one another, specifically if we want a sustainable world, also in terms of sustainable development goals that needs to be everlasting in terms of peace and prosperity. We need to have a world that has kindness over each other. Our world, continues to be grounded on, intolerance in terms of the influx of refugees, creating hostile scenarios of the world not welcoming them. If you look into the news that's happening in those Asian countries, Indonesians, although the Indonesian state did not allow, I mean, the Rohingya refugees that were on the boat. The community came forward and they accepted the refugees. They fed them in terms of COVID-19. You know, they gave help. This is the actual kind of positive example we should give to the world. We should not think in terms of binaries and divide ourselves. I think we need a spiritual guidance that is much more needed at this time of hour. Even sustainable, development goal has to be fulfilled through interfaith harmony. That is most important, I think.
Thank you, brother Sudesh. Specifically, when you coined certain ideas, specifically volunteerism, that can be a great asset for inculcating peace and interfaith harmony in South Asia, not as a whole, but also at our societal level. When we can get a great help from that. Pakistan is also getting help from these sort of ideas, just like to combat the COVID-19. Government of Pakistan has established Tiger Force. That Tiger Force has been established to provide certain necessities of life to the vulnerable societies across Pakistan. So in these lines, we can...
Yeah, by the way, today we have 84 confirmed cases of COVID-19 and we have recovered 36 people. That means we have only left 8 people to recover. So that's what Guardian Peace, the basic training people have been doing. They have doing a wonderful job in terms of, even interfaith harmony.
Certainly, that is a great example you guys are doing over there. Now, I would like to, we are running out of time, so I have a very precise, so I would like to very precise input from Salman Afridi. Salman Afridi, would you like to add what can be the roadmap for inculcating peace in Pakistan?
Kashif Saab, I think there are 2 or 3 steps actually that must be taken to ensure the interfaith harmony in Pakistan. And I would second Sudhir that first of all there must be efforts to develop a volunteer base for it. So the gathering the people from different communities and developing a volunteer base is the most important step. That is crucial, and that is that is of utmost importance when it comes to working or promoting interfaith harmony. The second step is that we are planning to manage diversity groups or diversity camps. In fact, that would include in fact the activities that are aimed at promoting interfaith harmony. Then there is an idea of you have heard of young men Christian associations hostels. So there has been there has been an idea as well that creating such places that bring people closer and help them interact and help them know each other would work and help in promoting the interfaith harmony in Pakistan. And last but not the least, the fourth point is that we want to work in institutions, in educational institutions and in the communities. And in those specific areas, we want to appoint interfaith harmony ambassadors that would start working about promoting interfaith harmony and promoting peaceful coexistence and bring awareness about the pluralistic values.
Thank you, Mr. Salman, for your kind, you have given a very precise and very vigilant roadmap to combat some certain evils in our societies. Amna, do you have any intervention? Amna Noreen, would you like to add some aspects so that we can move towards concluding our today's session?
Thank you. Sure, I would like to add on what Salman Afridi said about the volunteerism. That's very important. So I believe there are 3 important steps that could be further taken. First is to understand the vision, the standard vision for our future society that bring everyone together. Second, I think it's very important to have shared set of values that everyone can come together on the same table and can share their perspectives, beliefs. Lastly, I believe there should be a facility for a united venture. This venture can be conferences, platforms, or study towards anything which can help young people to interact with each other and build a better future together. For example, I really I'm amazed by the work that Talib and Sudesh are doing, reimagining societies. This is one of the great kind of venture that can facilitate improvement. So these are some examples. These are not the only things that we can do. There are many ways to achieve or go towards a better future. The key is, as highlighted by many of our fellow participants and panelists, it's to have empathy, solidarity, and tolerance. Thank you.
Thank you, Noreen. I think in our today's discussion, we tried to understand the developments happenings in our countries, and specifically we also discussed what might be the role of youth in promoting peace and interfaith harmony in our own countries. In second phase, we'll come up with some certain different ideas and some certain interventions, and that will be our continuous intervention at South Asian level. So now I would like to request Mr. Asif Khurshid. Mr. Asif Khurshid, can you hear me? I think he might be away from and he's unable to listen me, or there might be any connectivity issue. So I would like to thank all of you.